Masquerade violations incoming.
That's so nasty. Okay, so here's the gist, so we know kind of how we're starting out. Those of you with sires or with benefactors that are not sires but who have assisted you, what you know so far is, in order to help you get your bearings, and this applies to everyone but you, Smooth, you were basically given instructions and an address after a brief kind of intro into the life of Kindred over the course of, say, 2 to 3 weeks, however long you were vampires. For one reason or another, all of you have decided to give this a shot, as it is much easier to survive in a group of like-minded people in a similar situation than it is on your own. The address that you guys have been instructed to meet at is the address of our good friend Spoon, who is playing Tommy. That is the name that is listed on the piece of paper or the text message that you have received. Before we start the game, if you guys wish to do anything, plan anything, have anything ready to go, you need to let me know ahead of time so that we spend that time role-playing early giant adult children. Any questions?
I do not currently have anything at this time, Dark Lord.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, cool. Spoon? Any preparations or things that you would have done? You would have been informed that you are having guests incoming on behalf of your handler, and she has also said that when they arrive, you are to call her, put her on speaker, and she will explain the situation and what she is requesting. Do you have any plans outside of that?
Not necessarily, no.
Sin, you have nothing. Star, you have nothing. And Spoon, you have nothing. All right. Excellent. So what we will do now is just wait a little bit until it is 4:30 on the dot. We will play. We will be going until about 6:30, since this week I have some stuff I need to take care of for my PC. Next week, hopefully, we'll be able to play for longer, since that won't be getting in the way. But we should get roughly 2 hours in. Hopefully, that's good enough for everybody.
That sounds good to me.
Let's see.
Your turn
Okay.
again.
Yeah, it's at whatever volume it's at, which is probably ear busting by default.
Oh no, sorry, I was talking to my boyfriend. I was asking him to turn the thing down on his end. There we go. I'd like to go on my morning walk. Well, not morning. My night walk. Not
now
morning.
we get to interact with some mechanics. So before anything happens, it's time to wake up. Everybody, give me a rouse check. If you do not know how to do that, I will instruct you.
Is that something I can click on my character sheet,
Sure.
or something
So
I have to type in?
Everybody open up their character sheet, scroll to the bottom. There should be something on the bottom left-hand corner called Rouse. Just give that a roll. So that's an example roll. So, all right. So, Spoon, you have 0 successes. Is that right? Okay. So you increase your hunger by 1. You're a little bit more peckish than normal. V, increase your hunger by 1. You too are feeling a little peckish than normal. And Ms. Theolipes, give me a rouse check. Oh, you already gave me one. You succeed. You do not feel hungrier. All right. Both Vivian and Thea are on their way to Thomas's abode, the Haven on 87th. It's a quiet night in the south side of Chicago, which is unusual considering that many people here, what few that have chosen to remain in the derelict, nearly abandoned district, are typically lullabied to sleep by the sounds of gunshots, yelling, screaming, police sirens. The sorts of pleasant things that many families in the upper echelons of society rarely deal with.
As we in business call it, the huge.
It's a crescent moon out. For the most part, the night is calm, at least calmer than Vagrants, addicts, other sorts walk the streets, occasionally testing nearby homes, seeing if they could get in. Some sit or stand at unnatural angles, their bodies contorting almost unnaturally in ways that are not possible for those that are sober. Others, drawn together by a shared demon, share their addictions amongst the group, passing needles, crystals, other sorts of things. Occasionally, one of the very few cars belonging to the local residents passes by, pulling up the driveway. Rarely are police seen. Graffiti, broken into buildings, just a general haphazard amount of care has gone into this place, if any. Ms. Park, how are you choosing to get to the address you were given? Walking? Driving?
I'm on foot.
On foot. The crescent moon offers a small amount of comfort, bathing you ever so slightly in its faint light. And as you cross the road, you are not bothered, but occasionally given a bit of a side glance. There are very few areas in this neighborhood to duck into that are generally safe, free of some sort of attention, although passing, not intense or particularly scrutinizing. Many of those who linger in this area have other concerns but you and anybody walking. As you can clearly tell, it's very similar to where you live. Although the gang presence is lighter, occasionally you can see a handful of men, young or middle-aged, walking about very specific areas, occasionally hassling some local vagrants or talking amongst themselves. You arrive at the address, unmolested for the moment. The house is altogether unremarkable, and looking at it with its red X on the door, signifying that it had been long since abandoned, you never would have picked such a place, but again, that's the point, isn't it? Give me a wits and awareness check, please. If you do not know how to do that, I will instruct you.
I click it and it's second attribute, I guess, is where I click awareness.
Yeah, so you would click your this is for Vivian. You would click awareness. You would pick the wits stat. You would submit. For modifiers, if I said add 2 dice or take away 2 dice, you would add that modifier, but you're not getting one right now. It's just a completely neutral roll. I'll give you an example. So then you'll submit it. And then based on however many dice you roll, you get X number of successes.
Damn.
So yours should be awareness plus your wits. And then just a general roll. Okay, so what did you get here? So I think you... Let's see. 0 successes. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, 3 successes. Yeah, that's more than enough. You do remember that the paper had said, simply knock on the garage door. It's a rather haphazard-looking piece. Enough effort, and you could simply pull it on open, or at the very least kind of shatter the wood. This very old 1950s home, if you had to guess. That's likely the easy way in. You were told that whoever lives here is expecting a man by the name of Thomas. What do you wish to do?
I'll go ahead and knock on the garage door gently.
Sure. You rap on the garage door lightly a couple times. Spoon, Tommy. You hear from within your haven the light rapping, knuckle on wood. It's gentle and light.
My character opens the door. How many times do I have to tell you? You're not from around here. Get in.
What do you see? What do you look like? Star, please describe that to Spoon. And Spoon, what do you look like? Please describe that to Star. You first, Star. What do you look like?
I am about 5'5", with my dark black hair pulled into like one of those almost messy buns in the back. I look very similar to my token, so my hair is pulled back in that way, wearing a long sleeve kind of baggy orange sweater with kind of not skin tight but pretty tight jean pants and like normal winter boots. And I'm Asian.
Spoon, what do you?
Tommy Jack stands about 5'11", Caucasian, short dark hair hidden behind an EMT ball cap. He's wearing a white jacket and essentially EMT styled pants in addition to boots. He's also wearing studded gloves.
All right. You two are free to roleplay. When you wish to advance the scene, let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna scratch the back of my behind my ear, just kind of look off to the side a little bit. Are you Tommy?
That'd be me.
I was told to meet you here.
A better in than out. Come on, a character ways are in. Aren't there supposed to be two of you?
Ah, at such a moment, you see in the distance 2 bright headlights, just a little further down 87. A camper begins to approach. At first, it's a little bit difficult to make out details. However, the closer it approaches, the more noticeable it is, but not for any sort of fancy design. It appears very budget. Its windows are blacked out. And more importantly, it looks as though it has seen better days, though for the most part, outside of some rust and some light damage along the left side, it is functional. It begins to pull into the driveway. And in the camper, Sin, you enter the scene. You may begin role-playing with the other two.
I'm gonna open up the driver door and step out, kick it closed with the back of my foot, and start walking towards the both of you.
What do you look like?
I am a female, about 5'8", with long, straight black hair. I am wearing black cowboy boots, tight black pants, a button-down shirt that is unbuttoned slightly, maybe, 4 inches above my belly button, and a black jacket with a black cowboy hat. Lots of big rings, a big bolo tie that sits in the center of my sternum. Kind of out of place for the Chicago setting. I look like I just maybe stepped out of a Western.
He has a very rural aesthetic. She may be from out of town based on that alone, or perhaps she's just nostalgic for fabled times. However, there is one thing that you both notice. And of course, the level of attraction varies. She is beautiful. A bit rough looking, but this is somebody that is a cut above the rest in terms of physical appearance. For those interested, she's conventionally appealing. Continue.
So I'm just gonna walk towards the two of you. Don't really have a smile or any kind of look on my face, completely blank. And just say, I'm here to see a man named Tommy.
That'd be me.
Hey, sugar.
Oh, this is gonna take us some getting used to. Alright.
Do you wave them in, Smith?
Yep.
Sure. You wave both young women in and begin to close your finicky garage door behind you. The old rusted latches creak and groan a bit, but with a small amount of effort, you can pull the door closed. At some point, perhaps this place will get It's about as secure as it gets. Describe your haven, Spoon.
That's actually quite an ordeal. We've gone through like 3 different variations of what my haven looks like.
For the most part, you essentially have reign over most of this home, although your haven is generally centered around the garage, which is larger than normal, but still considered small by normal standards. Outside of general necessities, small fridge, perhaps a toilet. I mean, not for you, of course. What would you have in this place that stands out, if anything? If nothing, then let me know.
Probably a small, old-agey television set.
Okay.
Something that I totally don't expect to be here when we get back, if we leave.
Couch, table, chairs, bordered up side window.
We'll put together table. Rather dingy-looking couch.
You offer them hospitality, as it were, Spoon?
I would, but I don't exactly have a herd to put together, so my character will likely jokingly say, well, I'd offer you refreshments, but I don't have a body locker yet.
I'm gonna half smile and just say, oh, thanks, sugar. I appreciate the thought that counts. Hey, is there any gonna be a problem with me parking Betty out front?
As long as you leave within the hour, I reckon nobody's going to try trying their chances. Can't imagine there's a chop shop for the UVs.
No, they ain't gonna get much for her. She's sentimental. Not much value other than that, I'm afraid.
Spoon, give me an awareness and intelligence and awareness, please, Spoon. Spoon? Oh, okay. Let's see.
Well, that's bad.
Let's see. Normal successes. Dice rolled 3, 0. Wow, no successes.
I guess I'm blowing a point of willpower to see what's happening here.
Hold on. Doesn't seem right. Well, this is what the first session is for. We nonsense is that. So let's see. You would roll your awareness. This is not. Let's see what you got. So this is okay. Oh, okay. And so it tallies them separately. So you have one success. Well, thankfully for you, that's enough. Spoon, you've lived here. Thomas has lived here long enough that you realize that while generally your property tends to be one of the least frequented of all of them, you do realize that with the number of not only criminal elements but addicts and other unfortunate sorts, there is a fairly good chance that even just in a 20 to 30 minute meeting at your own home, that somebody could still try for anything valuable that she might have. And some, desperate enough, may in fact try to just take whatever they can from the hood, if at all possible. This is not a great place. It's merely cheap.
Yep.
Very cheap. You can choose to let her know this or not.
I'll
Sim.
convey it by essentially saying she may want to check every 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay. Your phone is set for a call in 10 minutes from Rosalind Spoon. In the meantime, you were instructed to entertain your guests and play nice, as it were. Get to know each other. Rosalind instructed you, or at the very least recommended, that you get well acquainted with these two ladies, because something... She had hinted that perhaps they were more important than she had led you to believe. You guys may roleplay at your leisure, or we can keep the scene going.
Alright, my character will motion to one of the couches. So, what brings the both of you here? I see that neither of you appear to have any grievous bodily harm, as is my profession.
I'm gonna cross my other arm across my chest to hold up the arm that's scratching behind my ear, while looking around, and just walk towards the couch and just say, "A letter," and then sit down on the couch.
I'm gonna kind of lean against an open doorway, kind of prop my foot up on the wall, and just say, "You know, I really wish I knew. It feels like I don't know anything anymore."
Spoon. Thomas receives a text message. Are both young ladies there? And this is from Rosalind.
I was about to say, my character checks the number and then replies, "Yep."
Rosalind instructs you to call her, put her on speaker.
I comply.
Okay. Within seconds, she picks up the phone. Vivian, Thea, Thomas. You all hear a calm, collected, and altogether pleasant-sounding voice from a young woman. Presumably a young... Good evening, ladies. Gentlemen. How are we?
Hey, Rosalind.
I assume that Ms. Parks and Ms. Lapes are with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Indeed.
You'll have to forgive me, ladies. I'm very aggrieved at the circumstances by which you have been brought into this life. However, my benefactor wishes to extend an olive branch to you both. Not all kindred, which I'm sure you're aware call each other vampires, mythologically speaking, have the opportunity of having loving who bring them to this world. I have, for some time, been under the employ of one who takes a great interest in ensuring those new arrivals to the city or those who fall upon unfortunate circumstances may be helped within reason. Ms. Park, your sire, Thias, has personally requested you be here on his behalf. We are to help you get your bearings in this city. Ms. Lipes, your situation is a bit more delicate. Mr. Wright, the man you know as Rain, has personally taken upon himself to request that my benefactor lend you similar assistance to that which Miss Parks is receiving. Thomas, as you well know, is the childer of my benefactor. But what he wishes for all of you, ideally, is that through your common circumstance, you can come together, form something of a coterie. This, of course, being speak for a group of like-minded individuals. I do have a question, and I wish I didn't ask it so upfront. Do not know each other, but I'm sure, as you are both aware, given the circumstances of your lives, you are no longer as tightly constrained by the moral constrictions of humanity. You're all aware of this, correct?
You could say that.
I've been made aware.
Aye.
It is in your best interest that you do not succumb to these urges lightly. My benefactor has instructed me to inform you that to do so is dangerous not only for yourselves, but those you hold dear. Do not become an animal. But that is a discussion for another time. My benefactor has a request of your motley crew, and he was hoping that perhaps, given your unique capabilities, you would be able to assist him. Given that most of you are either new to Chicago or do not essentially have good fortune, except for us, of course, he would wish to offer you a sponsorship of sorts under him and on behalf of your sires. What mortals would call a job opportunity. Are either of you interested in such a thing?
I'll ponder for a moment in silence and then say, well, seems I have nothing better to do.
And I'm gonna have a smirk on my face, and just saying, I have a feeling that I don't have much of a choice.
Contrary, Ms. Lipes, you always have a choice, but do you truly wish to test yourself on your own in this strange new world filled with darkness and deception? You are more than welcome to do so. Although it would sadden myself and my benefactor greatly if you were to perish well before your time. Indeed, he would like to see you and your companions thrive. Now that said, of course, such things rarely come without certain expectations.
And there's the rub.
My employer will, of course, do his part, as he is obligated by the debts he owed your sires, to ensure that you, at the very least, find your footing in Chicago, this place. And, in time, given your performance, should it be adequate, he will assist you where possible in your advancement in this world. Whatever your ambitions may be, he will do what he can. If you help him, he will help you. A back scratch for a back scratch, as a... Now, one question. Are most of you, well, we would not recommend this, comfortable with violent last resort?
I'm comfortable with violence when it's necessary.
Try to avoid it when I can. For obvious reason.
Of course. Miss
I can
Parks?
I can handle myself when necessary.
Good. You have a bit of a troublemaker's edge, Miss Lux. Very well. Brass tacks, as it were. There is an unfortunate situation that is taking place in Chicago at the moment, to which the South Side is, unfortunately, involved, as it were. The rack, where you currently reside, as well as, I believe, where Miss Parks resides, as well as the east side of Chicago, is experiencing a rather unusual number of disappearances. Human, mostly. Misfortunates, addicts, criminals. It is beginning to draw the suspicion and the notice of the greater kind powers. Kind, in case you are wondering, are humans. That is simply what people in touch with us call them. Now, typically, a disappearance or two in the city of Chicago, a cesspool of violence and degeneracy, police don't take notice. Much greater problems. However, should this continue unabated, not even the CPD will be able to turn a blind eye. My employer has several vested interests in those areas and would very much appreciate it. Some rather capable kindred would, out of the goodness of their heart, of course, be willing to solve this problem for him, as he suspects there is much more than simple disappearances at work here. They are very calculated, and they happen in bunches across each area, which implies several active members of this crime, whatever it be. As you have no doubt discovered, while my employer is well connected and is not short on resources, even a being such as he requires time to focus on more important matters. In the meantime, he has skilled and unique specialists such as yourselves to have a look on his behalf, ensure that things remain generally peaceful. As you are well aware, he has purposely placed you in such a location as that you will be unbothered, at least for the moment, by more orderly forces such as the Camarilla. For now. That said, these disappearances are making it increasingly difficult not only for his business interests to take place, but also in the sense that it is making it harder for kindred, especially kindred with no affiliation, to feed in relative peace. Police are more heavily patrolling Iraq on the southeast side, and the south side soon will follow should these disappearances continue. Additionally, it seems as though something has stirred up the local gangs. The Los Reyes and the Chicago Crips are once again at it again. And, unfortunately, I'm sure you are both aware, especially you, Miss Parks, and you, Thomas. Lately, there have been far more gunshots. Murders in the local area hasn't at least 5 in the last week, if I'm not mistaken. My employer suspects that perhaps these gangs are somehow connected, although whether or not this is true, well, that's up to you. He would like for the three of you to do some investigating, poke around, and see what you can find. Additionally, he is looking for information on a unusual character. His name is Nicholas White. He goes by the street moniker Sweetie Pepper. Any information on this man would be greatly appreciated, and he will be rewarded, of course, if you find it. And one more piece of information. I would recommend that while you are on this little detective tour that you go armed, of course. That's not licensed to immediately begin exercising authority, but should you need to defend yourselves, well, we're all familiar with life in Chicago. It is best to carry some for self-defense. Any questions?
I don't particularly have any at this moment. Sweetie Pepper figure out who he is and let you know.
Pepper. Oh, I may resist that call for violence if I see him. Jesus Christ. I've never
You know-
heard a more punchable name before.
Yes, well. Mr. White is indeed quite assaultable. He apparently had a fondness for such things when he was among the living. Sweetie peppers on his sandwich, or sweet peppers. That's how he got his nickname. However, who he became, well, most of us are so much more than once were. Those traits that he held so closely in life have been amplified in his death. He has become truly a monster, several degrees. I would recommend against confronting directly, should you meet. Not now. Information is good enough. My employer does not wish to see any of you avoided. Ms. Parks, you've been quite silent. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Just find it amusing. Wake up one day and turn into this. Now all of a sudden I'm a member of the Scooby-Doo gang.
Yes, well,
Funny old thing.
there is always a grain of truth in things we watch. Most movies are patently absurd, but what is life but a series of investigations? Now, I do wish you all success. I will be available once again tomorrow night. However, once this call has finished, I will be off duty. If you have any questions, do ask. I will give you what information I can.
Do we know anything about the local area?
Well, outside of a general hive of scum and villainy, nothing. Well, outside of the gangs who seem to control very specific areas. Insofar as I'm aware. Well, Thomas, the Los Reyes, Spanish translation, of course, meaning the kings, original, seem to lay claim to your street, as well as a couple blocks further out. For details and what we could find, they seem to lay claim to 83rd, 87th, Eckersall Stadium Park, and Russell Park. The Chicago Crips, Ms. Vivian Park is perhaps more familiar with. They tend to hold, or claim to hold, South Chicago Avenue, as well as 87th and 83rd. Perhaps you're noticing they're very highly contested areas, for whatever reason. Likely because many of the unfortunates in this local area are, well, customers. And, well, gangs tend to hoard their resources quite closely and jealously. Of course, to the CPD, a Mexican and a black gang going at it is nothing unusual and happens every day. In fact, for them, I would wager that should one of them win, better be it for them. Less work they have to do. Well, that's not to encourage any rash displays, but, you know, Chicago being what it is, the police are stretched thin. Now then, anything else?
I don't particularly think that I have anything else.
Very well. Strong, silent types, I see. In time, perhaps you'll open up. We'll become great friends. But first, let's see if we can pass the trial period. And from here, we can discuss payment, future outlooks, ambitions, where you would like to be with us, or perhaps independent of us. My employer is deeply interested in exploring all options with you. After all, he owed your sire a debt to which he has yet to repay, but hopefully he is to do so. Outside of my professional capacity as his handler, I would highly recommend his good side and staying out his bad side. He is very generous to those who work with him. Go against his interests, and, well, could become quite fatal, even for such as yourself. I would not recommend. Are we clear?
Crystal,
Thomas, a pleasure.
as
Miss
always,
Park?
Miss Rosal.
Ms. Leibs, pleasure. And Miss Parks. I wish you both a good night, good evening. Beep! The phone hangs up.
Wasn't she just a peach?
Yeah, as long as you're not making her work overtime. So, as stated, we're apparently becoming the Scooby-Doo gang in a violent gangland scenario. I suppose I should ask the obvious question. Are either of you armed?
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
My character brings up his studded gloves. I prefer these, but don't count on me much in a fight.
I am armed enough.
Everybody give me a wits and awareness check, please.
Okay.
They've
Let's
already
go
come
over
for
how
the
that
camper.
works again. So I just click wits, and then
Nope,
under.
you click. So whenever I ask you to make a check that involves a skill, how you do it is you click on your character sheet, you go to the skill, click on the skill, add the attribute, whatever that might be, and then if there's any modifier for dice, you would type that in, but there's no modifier, it's just a straight roll. You just click roll. So let's see what we're getting. Ms. Park, 2 successes. Very nice. Wow. 5 successes for Ms. Leibs, you dirty girl. Let's see. Okay. Very nice. Everybody passes. You hear a loud, albeit muffled commotion from across the street. Several kind of booming, presumably male voices, shouting and yelling.
I go to the window and check on my RV.
Yeah, so there is, in order to go out and check your RV, you'd have to open up the garage door. At the moment, the window that looks out to the side wouldn't give you a view of what's happening. It is directly across the street from the garage. Bear in mind as well that the garage is currently lit. So what I'm going to do here is everybody tally up your composure and your your composure and your awareness, and let me know what. Let's see. Let me know what your scores are. Actually, everybody roll composure and awareness, and what that'll dictate is the order you guys are acting. Okay. For taking actions. So you all heard that without fail. There is something going on outside. Okay, so successes, 2 successes, 3. Okay, so 3 successes for Vivian, 1 success for Mr. Jag, unlucky. 1 success for Ms. Leibs. Okay. V will go first, followed by Via, because even though it's not a crit, she still rolled a 10. And Mr. Jag, you will go last. So, Vivian, what do you wish to do?
Could you kindly tell me again what's happening? She said she was going to check the RV, that she had to go outside to do it.
So before any other character can act, because you want an initiative, you can go first. You can skip your initiative if you'd like. That would put Sin's character Thea above you, and that would put you after Spoon. You would then be going last. What's happening currently is there's a loud commotion outside. You hear kind of muffled, seemingly male voices aggressively and loudly yelling, jeering, and generally just being obnoxious.
Do they sound close to the house or like across the street or something?
Across the street. If they were closer, you would probably be able to make out details.
I guess I can go ahead and... You said there's no windows that, like, aren't boarded up or something in here, right?
Yes, most of the windows here are boarded up. The only one that is not, if you were to look outside of it, would not give you the view necessary. It is not at the correct end.
Okay. I'll get up and I'll go open the door and kind of peek around the corner and see if I can see what's going on.
So it is a older kind of 1950s sliding garage door with the metal handle. You'd basically have to pull it up. Is that what you wish to do?
Oh, so there's not like an actual door that goes to the garage. The door to the garage is the
Yes.
garage door.
That is correct. There is a door that could lead into the other section of the house itself, but the door you came in was the garage.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I would rather go through the house because opening the garage door seems obvious.
Sure.
And then I'll just peek out a window.
Okay. While you were going to do this, what does
Oh,
Thea
wait.
do? Sorry?
Are the windows in the rest of the house also boarded up?
Yes, this is an abandoned, derelict home. Going within the other sections of the house, all the windows are boarded up. It would be difficult to get a good view, but they're not perfectly boarded up. I mean, this place has been on the receiving end of some serious vandalism every so often, and there's a couple loose boards, and if you were really so inclined, you could probably just pry some. So it'll take you a bit of effort, but you can still have a look from that side.
Is there a back door once I get to this part of the house?
There is.
Okay. Then I'm going to change what I'm going to do. I'm still going to go through the house, but I'm going to go out the back door instead of the front, and then eventually at some point in time when it's possible, peek around the corner and have a listen.
You are going out the back door. As you go to do this, Sin, it's your turn. What does Thea do in this situation?
Well, I don't want to open up the giant garage door, but I do want to check on my RV. And you said that in order to do that, I would have to go out either the front door or the back door.
Any of the doors you choose, you could go through the garage door, but you stated you do not wish to do so. You could go out the front door or the rear door. Or perhaps you could explore the house, maybe see if there's some stairs leading up. Get a better vantage point from upstairs, who knows? You haven't been here before.
If it's a 2-story house, then yes.
You would be spending some time looking around and just hoping there are some stairs that lead you up. If they do, hopefully there's a balcony or maybe just a window you could kind of pry loose and just look through. You're basically following the same course of action that Star is, which is you're being relatively exploratory. You're trying to get your bearings in a place you're unfamiliar with, go upstairs, kind of check the best window, look out the window every so often, and then head up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Jag, Spoon, while this is happening, you see the two ladies kind of break off in the same direction while the commotion is still happening outside. What do you wish to do?
I'm assuming there's a way outside from, like, the door.
The garage door, the front door, or the rear door? They seem to have gone into the through the door that leads out from the garage into the laundry room, through the kitchen where the back door is located. For just so everybody's aware, the garage is the only part of the house that's lit. Everywhere else either doesn't have power or just doesn't have the lights turned on. Just so everybody's aware.
I'll take a look through the front door.
Look through the little peephole?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Give me another wits and awareness check. Peepholes aren't necessarily great for spying, but it's better than nothing. Okay, it's good enough. You can kind of see the vague sort of outline across the street in a dark corner of a small gathered group. You'd estimate maybe about 4 people, 5. One of them seems to be on the ground, leaned up against a wall. 4 of the people in the group seem to be, men, clearly, of varying sizes. Their dress, if you had to guess, maybe some sort of street gangster or criminal. You've lived here long enough that you are familiar with the way the Los Reyes gang members dress. You tend to avoid them when you can. They tend to be unpleasant to deal with. They don't tend to go out of their way to harass most of the families here. However, they are less than kind to vagrants. More details than that, I would require you to get more successes than you did. That is what happens for you. Star. Vivian ends up finding a small kind of window on the top floor with one of the boards just loose enough that with minimal effort she could pry it loose and just have a look outside and get a fairly clear view of the situation from across the street. Would you like to pry the board off or just kind of peek through the tiny little hole?
I'll just peek through the tiny little hole.
Okay, give me a wits and awareness check. Good enough, yeah. While it is dark, there are still streetlights active here, even in such a poor part of town. A lot of them are broken or burnt out, but there's one just close enough that you could see more than a shadowy outline. A man now leans by another, leaned up against a building, while three seem to sit in the background watching the interaction. He has what appears to be a pistol in his hand, and he has his left hand on the shoulder of a man that appears to be either in very bad shape or a vagrant of sorts, with shabby clothing, kind of a short, stubbly beard, balding head, and he's emaciated and thin. The three men kind of seem to have lowered their voices and are speaking to this other fellow in a hush, it seems. The other men, one of which has his hand on something, either down his pants or on something in his pant area. The other two seem to have their arms crossed and are merely watching the interaction. There are others around, although they seem to be giving this particular incident a wide berth. There are no local residents or anybody that tend to walk the streets here at night. It's incredibly dangerous. Any of the other vagrants or undesirables have either scattered or have tried to make themselves as unnoticeable as possible. Thea, you will see that should you choose to look out the window as well, give me a wits and awareness check.
I do choose to look out the window.
Should you choose to do so, okay. Just give me a wits and awareness check. Yeah, that's good enough. You see what Vivian sees as well. This doesn't seem like a large confrontation so much as maybe some sort of intimidation effort on behalf of the larger group. Without getting closer or having heightened senses of some sort, it would be difficult to gain anything of value from this position. Especially now that the men have lowered their voices. Mr. Jag, you are now in a situation where you've noticed the event begin to escalate. One of the men who had been previously kneeling, with the assistance of the other, pulls the vagrant to his feet and slam him against the wall. You can see that one of the other men holds him in place, and the fellow with the gun kind of covers his body, and you can see that his hand is outstretched in a very unmistakable gesture, which is essentially pointing the gun somewhere near his head. No shots have been fired. What do you wish to do?
Rick is going to pull away from the front door and he's going to grab his EMT jacket and his 1911.
Okay. You arm yourself, grab your EMT jacket. Very well. Let's get a fresh initiative check for everybody so we can determine what happens now. Let's go with wits and composure, and then you guys can decide if you wish to take any fresh actions or if you're just going to watch the situation occur.
So wits and composure are both traits.
Or sorry, your wits and awareness, my bad. Or sorry, God, sorry, I'm still learning this as well. Just be patient. Your wits your composure and your awareness. God. 1 success. Dice roll 3. 3 successes for Miss. All right, so order is Vivian, Thomas, and Thea. The situation has escalated, and Vivian can clearly see that from her position, this man, given that she has some elevated advantage, has the gun not pointed in the direction of this man's head, but it appears to be in his mouth. And his voice is becoming increasingly louder and more aggressive, and the other men are kind of, if you could guess, maybe egging him on. Things are about to get ugly. As somebody who tends to live in a similarly ugly and brutal area of town, you know that if this isn't some sort of intimidation, this man has likely aired these gang members very recently and severely, and this may cost him his life. What do you wish to do?
Thea's next to me, right?
Yes.
Hey, country girl. Does your house on wheels have an alarm?
Am I able to answer before it's my turn on this?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, honey. That thing couldn't function an alarm. It's got a horn.
Do you have to press the horn from the inside?
I mean, I can hit the horn on the steering wheel. But I don't have one of them fancy fobs.
Okay. Obviously, this has escalated and your rust bucket's no help. Got it.
You want me to yell real loud for you?
No, I think that would just then bring them here. I'm going to turn around and go down the stairs towards Tommy and try and meet up with him before he leaves if he hasn't already.
Yeah. Thea sees Vivian turn on her tiny little heels and make her way down the stairs almost immediately. Mr. Jag, what do you wish to do? You are second in order. Grabbed your pistol. You got your EMT gear on. Now what?
Yep. I check to make sure it's loaded.
You do? Yep.
I start
Loaded.
making to go walking up the door.
Okay. Yeah. You by the end of this scene, you'll basically, well, actually before the scene, even before I skip to Thea's turn, you will have already opened the door. This door has always had a bit of a finicky lock, like almost everything here, but with a bit of effort, barge it open. You do so, walking out the front door. This particular part of the street is poorly lit, thankfully, which is to your advantage. You weren't particularly quiet when you opened the door, but it seems like the men across the street are far more occupied with they are currently educating. Where do you wish to position yourself before I go to Thea's turn?
Give me a general outline of the street that I'm looking at.
Sure. You have a small front yard with some haphazard fencing. Incomplete or broken or worn from the years. It doesn't provide much cover. The camper is to your right. There's some steps that lead down into the yard. There is no cover really here outside of the camper itself. Across the street, there's a couple burnt out street lamps and one that provides a reasonable amount of visibility over the scenario, although half of the members of the gang, as well as the men being harassed, are in the shadows still. Other than that, the other homes on this block are either unlit or empty. You know that this area had seen a mass migration of people when economic times made it too difficult to live here, and many of the good jobs had been either outsourced or moved elsewhere. Populations are scarce, and this part of the of the city of Chicago is generally run by criminals and the downtrodden. At the
Okay.
moment, these are the only active people that you see. Out of the corner of your eye, you might see a street vagrant in the throes of a high, or you might see a couple people sifting through trash or speaking to each other. They don't even attempt to help this man. This may actually just be par for the course for them. Where do you wish to position yourself?
We'll say I get to the fence line before someone else acts.
Okay, so you begin walking up until you reach the fence line, and while this is happening, Thea, you see Thomas walking along the broken concrete path leading up to his front door toward the fence. In the open, it's somewhat dark, though he seems to be treading with purpose directly toward the danger. What do you wish to do?
How many people, how many of the gangster guys did I see?
5.
5.
6 if you include the miscellaneous fellow currently being threatened. As all of you have been moving around and deciding whether or not to get involved, taking various kind of surveys of the area, this has been escalating quite rapidly, and the man is now on his belly on the sidewalk, gun to the back of his head, while one of the other men seems to be kicking him in the ribs. You can hear him cry out, "Oh man, no man! Oh, I paid for it, I swear! I'll have it next week!"
Right, so I'm just gonna, as I'm looking out the window, watching Tommy head that way, say, "God damn."
What do you mean, SA? Next week? What do you mean next week? Next week in homeless time is never. I want my money now. Now, motherfucker, now. We gave you that hit last week. Out of the goodness of our hearts. How are you going to pay that back? No, I don't know. We got to come to something, please. Poof. A sickening crack can be heard, and what can only assume to be a rib shattering under a hard boot. Oh! Hey, Sandro, that's enough. He can't pay us back if he's dead. Man, fuck this guy, man. He ain't gonna pay us back. You can hear a rather disgusting sound. Unmistakable hork of spit. What do you wish to do, Thea?
I'm gonna turn after V and ask, what do you think a small thing like you is gonna do in a fight like this? And start heading towards the front door. But I'm kind of staying back a little bit. I want to see what Tommy is planning on, how involved he is planning on getting in this moment. I am not dashing towards a fight.
Okay, so you're just kind of going to maintain sort of an overwatch position. You're not going to jump in. You're just going to kind of see whether or not Tommy gets involved. If things kind of get out of hand.
At the moment, yes.
Cool. Very well. You put yourself in an overwatch position to survey the escalating and unfortunate education session of this poor man. Ms. Park, it is your turn. You have kind of walked down the stairs, finding yourself at the bottom as Tommy is now nearly at the fence line. He seems to be striding toward the conflict, either with purpose or with a plan in his head. Sure. But what you do know is that if those men are armed, there's very limited cover direction he's going in. What do you wish to do?
I have a quick question on how things work.
Sure, you may ask your question.
How do powers work? Do they have like cooldowns?
No. So some powers are free, meaning they cost nothing, not even a rouse check. Any power you want to activate that has a rouse check, you just need to make it. Here's how that works. Let's say you wanted to use Unseen Passage, right? what you would do is you'd make a rouse check, and then if you succeed, nothing happens. You use your power and you're good. If you fail, you still use your power, but you get hungrier. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. So the hungrier all of you get, the more you'll start to hear the voice of your beast talk to you, and it'll be different for each of you. Sometimes you might hear the voice of your sire, somebody that has traumatized you in life. It can vary quite severely.
Okay.
At 1 and 2 hunger, it's somewhat muted, but present. An annoying thought that creeps up every so often, but nothing too crazy. As you start getting 3 and 4, it gets a lot more intrusive.
Gotcha. And then just for my future knowledge with dementation, if I were to like say shout from a bush or something at somebody and they said who's there, is that technically talking to me?
Not really, no. So the way
Okay.
that power would work is it requires casual conversation. That's not really a conversation. If you yell out and somebody goes, "Who's there?" Conversation isn't happening. They're just wondering what. In order to engage that power, you would have to be involved in a conversation with that person of some kind. It doesn't have to be particularly long or drawn out, although it could be. But it doesn't really work where you can sit somewhere hidden and then start talking to them. Even in obfuscate, it would break your obfuscate. Even if you had succeeded a stealth check, it would break your stealth. Because again, you're drawing attention to yourself, right?
Right.
The best way to use that power would be to catch somebody in a conversation and then slowly start to warp their mind if that's what you do. Although it could be risky in this situation.
Gotcha. Okay. I think what I would like to do is do the unseen passage and follow after Tommy and like stay at a certain distance and off to the side from him just to kind of like see what he has planned for all of this, because right now this just seems like a drug deal gone bad, and honestly maybe he shouldn't have been doing drugs if he didn't want this to happen.
Very cold-hearted, but practical. Unseen passage? Alright. Give me a rouse check. And it will last the remainder of the scene. Miss Park, you get hungrier. You hear, as you call upon the power of your blood to enshroud your form, you hear something calling within. Oh, my treasured daughter, I'm so sorry that it has led to this. Really? Gangsters and lowlives, they were meant for such better things. But they are walking, talking criminal blood bags. Just give them a bite. Just a small bite. For Papa.
For Papa!
You can feel this inexorable pull in your heart. It has some disturbing level of influence. You're not forced to act on it, but you can sense that whatever is talking to you is quite powerful, and it is urging you to violence. Just a sip. I'm so parched. A little sip. Please. You can talk back to it if you wish.
Oh shit, I could talk back to it. Awesome.
It's like an inner monologue of a sorts with something sinister.
Oh, I'll just whisper back to it then. I'll get there. I'll get there.
Ominous.
Out loud. I whisper out loud.
Ooh, you're talking out loud. He says, almost sensually proud. You have activated Unseen Passage. You are now functionally invisible. What do you wish to do?
I still want to just kind of like meander over to the side, close but not too close to Tommy to see what he's got planned for all of that.
Okay, so you just sort of shadow him. Gotcha. Yeah. So your power will last for the rest of the scene, or unless you draw attention to yourself or put other opponents in a situation where they can't help but see you. Just keep that in mind. Very well. Mr. Jag, you are currently walking toward the danger, although you haven't crossed the street. You are at the fence line as we speak. What do you wish to do? You are armed and in an EMT jacket. This man presumably has had, at the very least, a few ribs broken. He is on the ground coughing, and you can see in the light as he kind of meekly kind of crawls into the street, into the shine of the street lamp. He coughs up a bit of blood. You can hear one of the presumed gangsters, "Man, just shoot this piece of shit. Even for the people that make their money legally, nobody likes these people. Just fucking kill him." You hear one of the gang members breathe out. "Yeah, suppose if he had anything, he would have paid us back already. Fuck him." You see one of them begin to raise the gun.
Are
You
you
should do
quite fucking finished?
A few of the members startle. However, they all turn to look at you. At the moment, the gun is frozen just above the head of the poor vagrant man, dangling like the sword of Damocles. "Who the fuck are you, SA?"
What the fuck about... Look at what the fuck I'm wearing, you daft cunt! I'm the lad who's blowing you about the shit all over!
One of the gang members look between each other. One of them laughs. "Check this stupid cholo. He wants to die with this guy too. What are you, a hero?" The gun is now no longer trained on the poor vagrant man on the sidewalk, and is instead brought just to the left of the man's waist as he kind of crosses his arms and looks at you. "Better crawl back where you came from, SA, or this gets ugly."
How about I
Fuck
pay
off.
you $20 to fuck off?
One of the gang members smiles, the glint of his silver grilled tooth shining ever so slightly in the lamplight. "Hey, what kind of a cheap whore you take us for? 20
One who
bucks.
wasn't getting shit and was going to about to waste money on a vagrant. Take it or
Yeah,
leave it.
well. They all look at each other and then back to you. "This man fucking crazy. Look, I don't give a shit what you're wearing, pal. Fuck off. Now." And he levels the gun in your direction. Do you wish to do anything?
Fuck it. My character will pull the 1911. I like my lawn unbloodied, fucker.
Alright, Spoon. You have initiated combat. For the first attack of combat, you may use your dexterity and your awareness for your initiative, or your composure and awareness, whichever is higher. If this becomes a prolonged gunfight, we will be using composure and firearms.
Let's see.
You get that? Initiative time. I will roll for the group to keep this simple.
You said awareness and composure, or like, what?
Roll me your. You can either choose, for the sake of initiative order, your composure and your awareness, or your dexterity and your awareness. Dexterity and awareness is just for the first round. After that, it will be composure and awareness. You're basically quick drawing, and then if this turns into a drawn-out fight, then it becomes more of a... Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, roll me a composure and awareness to determine your order and initiative. Ladies, until... You will also roll if you want to get involved now. I would have you roll now. V, you are unseen at the moment. And Thea, you are kind of also shadowing in the background, sort of obscured by the shadow of the home as you're sort of in the doorway. You guys can get involved in the combat now if you wish, or hold back. What do you wish to do? Because if this happens before you guys take a turn, you will be last in initiative. Do you wish to engage?
I'll be engaging.
Cool. Okay.
I will be as well.
All right. Everybody give me a composure and awareness check to determine initiative order for combat. For this first round only, you can choose to use dexterity and awareness if it is higher. So, Vivian, my sweet summer child, that's
wanna
3
redo it.
successes.
I want
Do
to
you wanna-
redo it because
Okay,
I hit that before you said dexterity.
sure. If dexterity is higher, I will. If that was a mistake roll, that's fine. Just roll your. Okay, well, the gods are cruel and have decided that you will have 3 successes instead of the 4,000 you are entitled to. So 3 successes. So, Spoon, you will also roll. Okay. Ms. Thea,
It's your daddy.
do you wish to get involved? Oh, you have already. I'm
I
just dumb.
did.
Cool. 2, 3, 3. Okay. As you are closer to the situation, Spoon, you go first, followed by Vivian, followed by Thea. Okay, I'm gonna roll for the gang members though, real quick. See how many successes they get. Okay. 3 successes. So you are the active character, Spoon. You will go first. Then it will be Vivian. Then it will be the gang members. And then Thea. So I will write that down in chat. So Spoon. Yeah, oh my god, this fucking gray text. I'm literally Hitler. That is terrible. Give me a... I'm gonna see if I can change the color, because that is obnoxious.
He said, I am literally Hitler.
I know, right?
It's gray text on gray. That is some asshole shit. Well, I will... Oops. Let's see. Where's this? Okay. Well, I'm dumb anyway. So, Spoon, followed by Vivian, gang members, Thea. Spoon, you draw your pistol?
Yep.
Well, none of these guys have cover, so they get a -2 to their die pool to dodge your shot. So give me a composure and a firearms check for your first attack. I will roll the defense of one of the gang members. It's going to be very sad, but we'll see what he can do.
I mean, you say that, but I'm rolling raw composure.
Spoon, add an extra die to your pool due to distance. Sorry, reroll with an extra, or roll a d10, an extra. So just slash roll 1, 6 or higher. Unlucky. Okay, here's how this plays out. You pull your gun faster than the gang members, and do your best to lock onto one of them. You have a shot, but either through sheer luck or pure reflex, perhaps experience of being in these situations before, you see the gang member you're aiming for, as well as his buddies, scatter like roaches, diving desperately for any sort of nearby cover. A trash bin, street lamp. There isn't much here. Perhaps this brief moment was enough to throw your aim off. Bang! Your shot rings out down the street, and you can hear the sound of dogs barking. Ms. Park? It is now your turn. Thomas has fired a shot at the gang members who have basically scattered. He doesn't appear to have hit any of them. If he has, they're dead. What do you wish to do?
Have any of them scattered in my direction?
No, they've kind of scattered along the sidewalk. Here's how we're going to play out this encounter. We're going to do 3 in and out. So, once you guys accrue up to 3 successes, either of you, the encounter will end. Whoever rolls the most successes will come out on top for this encounter, and that includes the gang members.
Okay.
So, what do you wish to do? They've all basically scattered. 2 of them are standing upright. One of them is desperately kind of hiding behind the street lamp for cover. One of them is crouched behind the garbage can. 2 of them have basically dove in on the sidewalk and are currently prone.
And is it safe to say that they're all about the same distance away from me?
Yes, give or take.
Okay. Is there any of them that is by themselves? Like, doesn't have a partner with them?
They're close enough to each other that it's not really possible to catch them alone. They're far enough that they're not clustered together, but they're still close enough to be considered like in a group. Basically, if you attack one of them, they'll probably notice.
And which one was the one that seemed like he was leading them?
They all kind of seem to have the same sort of bad attitude and general overbearing kind of macho demeanor. It's difficult to pick out a leader. But, give me another wits and awareness. Actually, do you have Streetwise?
I have 2 in it.
Oh, you are filthy. Give me a Streetwise check. So that, sorry, that will be your wits and your Streetwise. Let's see what you got. 2 successes? Great, that's enough. It's difficult to tell. You're not as familiar with these gang members as you are with the Crips who run your part of town. However, what you do notice is that one of them seems to be far more heavily tattooed than the others, and he also seems to be slightly more generously adorned in bling, as the kids would say. Not by much. It would take a trained eye to truly notice the difference, as they all have similar ways of dressing and attiring themselves. But this fellow does seem to stand out. He is currently ducked behind the trash can. That is what I can tell you with that roll.
Okay.
What do you wish?
What's on the other side of him? Trash cans in front of him. What's on the other side? The wall?
So basically there's a sidewalk and there's a couple of yards across from this location. A trash can, a light post, the actual sidewalk itself, and just yards that lead into the old kind of abandoned homes. People have already, the vagrants, those that are still of their own senses, have begun to scatter and yell and just kind of flee the area, and those that can't are still succumbing to whatever illness has befallen them.
Okay. And I run at normal speed?
Oh. Let us see. What powers does Dearest Vivian possess? Nothing to do with super speed. Relatively normal, but you could get to one of them and attack with, if you should so choose. However, bear in mind that I will have you roll a stealth check. That'll be Dex plus stealth. If you succeed, you can basically get an attack on one of them at a difficulty 1, but it will break your obfuscate. Do you wish to try that?
Shooting the gun will also do so, right?
Yes, shooting the gun will definitely drop your obfuscate and draw attention to you.
But if I successfully sneak up on somebody and were to say compel them, it would still be broken?
Yes, and that's also much more difficult because they're currently in combat, which
Gotcha.
means because they're fighting for their lives, basically, like somebody just shot at them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not impossible, but difficult.
I guess I would just like to move into a better position to be able to shoot at one of them, since they won't be looking for me. So my shot, I would assume, should come off as I wasn't expecting it to come from there kind of thing.
Well, I've got good news for you. I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is that the leader figure, or at least the one you assume is the leader, has taken cover. So he is no longer suffering the malice against firearms behind the little trash can. However, the good news is that the lamppost that one of the gang members is ducking behind doesn't really provide much cover, but enough that, the penalty he would be suffering is only slightly lessened. There are 2 gang members that are prone, which, while more difficult to hit, because it is more difficult to hit a prone target, they are still suffering a penalty. The closer you get, the easier it will be to hit them. You're also invisible, which means you could stealth up to them, just point the gun at them, and if you succeed your stealth check, blow them away.
Okay. Then I want to walk up to whichever one's closest.
Sure.
Attempt that, and then if I can, also then take cover somewhere, somehow, some way, if I succeed all of what I'm saying.
You will only be able to walk up and attack. Other
Then we'll do
actions you'll
that.
have. Okay. You basically are creeping along the sidewalk, past across the street, and going up to one of them who is prone. Give me a dexterity and a stealth check. All right. I will roll his... He's distracted at the moment. I'm going to take a die away from his pool. So. He does not beat your score. He is unaware. Give me a composure and a firearms check, and you just need to have one success to blast him.
Oh, well, thank gosh.
Good, yeah, good enough. You're invisible. The mask that had concealed your form drops as the bang of your shot rings out across the street, much like the other. Bang, and then another. Bang, and then another. Bang. You fill the prone gang member with holes seemingly from out of the darkness itself. You pierce both of his lungs, his left shoulder, and directly in between his forehead, scattering his brains across the pavement. You hear one of the other gang members yell out, "What the fuck, man?" Ms. Lipes, it is now your turn. The party needs to accumulate 2 more successes to end this encounter in their favor.
Okay. Out of the cockroaches that have scattered, do any of them look like they are ready to attack back, either with a weapon or... Because I know you mentioned like a couple people hiding,
Yes.
a couple people on the
Any
ground.
of them that are alive, yes. Any of the one who is prone, does not have a weapon drawn. However, the 2 that managed to take cover do, assumedly pistols of some sort.
Okay, and one of those that took cover was the one V just got.
No, she got one of the men to the far left of the street lamp on the sidewalk who was prone. She basically crept up to him out of stealth.
Okay.
She crept up to him in stealth, succeeded her stealth check, broke her obfuscate, blew him away. 4 shots into his body.
Okay, so one of the ones that are then, whichever one I guess is closer to me, that is taking cover, I would like to get up on using Daunt.
Gonna be scary, huh?
And if I'm able to attack at the same time in the same turn, I want to do that.
Fortunately, it's either daunt or attack. Which would
Okay,
you prefer?
I'm going to Daunt.
All right, let us have a look at daunt here real quick. Scary girl. Daunt. You're using your potence to scare them away. It's free, so you don't need to make a rouse check. Okay. Give me an intimidation check. That's going to be your intimidation skill plus your presence, and that will be against their resolve and composure.
Intimidation plus presence.
Yep, you need 2 successes.
So it doesn't allow me to choose presence since it's not an attribute.
This here. Let's see. That would be. Just gonna double check. I know how to do this. So, you know your presence power under dominate. Sorry.
Okay, yes.
Sure. We'll open up your character sheet real quick here. So you'll have presence, and then what you'll end up doing is you can create a role for it. So I'll show you how to do this. So you can do you could just do intimidation, and then you could give it a roll, and I think it'll add your presence automatically. Let me have a look here just real quick. This is what we're all learning this. Okay. So what I would do is roll 3 dice here. Okay. Type in /roll 3d10. I'm assuming. Actually, hold on here. I'm assuming your intimidation is 1, and your presence is 2. So yeah, roll 3d10. Your intimidation plus your presence, and you need 2 successes.
Okay, so 3d10.
Yep. This is free. It won't cost you anything. You won't get hungrier. What did you roll? Ooh, well done. Okay. You you approach the remaining gang members. I'm gonna check if this is AoE. It is. Cool. It'll last one scene or until you choose to end it prematurely. Here's what happens. You approach the gang members in midst of the fight. Those that remain. One is confusedly calling out to his friend who was just blasted away by the woman named Vivian. You walk up, and your features take on a dark and intimidating look. Your fangs begin to bare, and a shadow casts over your features. Your eyes widen, and you become much, much more terrifying. Your beast lashes out at all of these men. Your voice rises and becomes almost demonic. What do you wish to do? What do you say?
And you said I can't attack them right now?
This was your action, but you succeeded.
Okay.
Do you wish to say anything edgy or cool? I'm basically giving you an opportunity to, go for it.
Okay, so I'm gonna be. So I still have my hat on, so I'm gonna have my head tilted down a little bit, so the brim of my hat just shows my eyes. And I want to be smiling, really, really widely.
You have a sinister, Joker-like smile on your face that strikes these men at the core of their soul, supernaturally, as though a ghost had just touched their shoulder.
Phrasing?
And I'm just gonna say, now, why don't we try showing a little bit of hospitality?
I'm gonna see if any of the... Oops. Okay, well, that definitely didn't happen. Hold on, I'm gonna see if any of them can actually resist you. No. Okay, go ahead. You walk up to them and say...
We try showing a little bit more hospitality.
All three of the remaining gang members look at your face. Their eyes widen almost simultaneously. They look between each other fast. Those that are holding firearms, their hands begin to visibly shake. One of them, you catch a whiff of piss on the air. And you hear one of them go, "Oh man, fuck this! What is she? They didn't pay me enough for this essay, I'm gone!" All three of them try to run. Mr. Jag, what do you wish to do? Thea has made herself very frightening. Supernaturally so. This is not a natural intimidation. This is beyond anything you've seen. Even the toughest grown men would struggle to be this intimidating. Something dark has manifested itself, and from her has caused all three of these men to scatter like roaches. Do you wish to do anything? You still have your gun drawn.
So they're basically pissing themselves and running, right?
Yeah, very much so. They are completely taken in abject terror, and they are trying to flee the scene.
My character will uncock his 1911, put it back in his waistland, and he'll probably hold it to his side as they're running. It was like, "Oh, this son of a fucking bum!
Huh?
Fuck sakes!" As they're running away.
You call out to them. As you could no doubt expect, you get no response. These men want out of this situation. Combat is over.
I walk over to the man riddled with bullets until I find that he has a gaping train exit wound.
We're gonna do some house cleaning, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, good.
Roll your unspent willpower. Difficulty 1. 1 success. There's a lot of blood here. Somebody was just blasted away.
So we just hit the willpower roll button. There's nothing special here?
Yeah, so you just roll your unspent willpower. If you had spent willpower, you'd have less to roll.
Okay. So mine, I have, according to my character sheet, it says max 4. auto inputs the input value as 5, and I'm assuming I just changed that to 4 because I haven't used any. Is that right?
What you would do is your max willpower is 4. You haven't spent any, which means you'll roll 4 dice. Let's say you wanted to do a re-roll earlier, right? Let's say, I rolled like shit on that intimidation. I want to roll. What you would do is you'd cross off one of your willpower, and then when I called for this roll, you'd be rolling 1 willpower less. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You spend it either for re-rolls, or you kind of hold it on the off chance you have to make a spicy roll later. 2 successes, that's a success. Yep. Ms. Lipes, that is also a success. Ms. Parks, a success on your end, perhaps? We're praying.
I apologize, but I have children and I have no idea what we're doing at this very moment. I've paid attention to everything else up until now.
What was the last thing you heard?
They were running, and he went to go and look at somebody and saw they were full of holes.
Yes, there is a lot of blood here, and all of you simultaneously feel your beasts pulling, tugging at you, urging you to take a drink. Just a little drink. Not a little drink.
So I'm rolling the willpower one?
Yes, roll your unspent willpower. You need 1 success.
Where it says input value, do I just roll the 5?
So it's just a raw willpower roll. There's no bonus or penalty, so you can just click submit with no modifier on it.
Yeah,
mine auto-filled to 5, even though I don't have 5 willpower. So if you have less... Okay, so if you have less than 5, then you'll need to change it to your whatever your available squares are.
Your total willpower should be your composure plus your resolve. Your willpower, when it comes to willpower rolls, is only decreased if you sustain superficial willpower damage, which is when you choose to reroll something, or if another event happens that causes you to take superficial or aggravated willpower damage. That lowers the amount of dice you can roll for willpower if I call for a check. You basically have to balance whether or not you want to reroll or just save it on the off chance you could be put in a situation where your beast is starting to tug at you a bit uncomfortably and cause you to do something dumb. Everybody succeeded. Okay. The smell of blood hangs heavy in the air. The fellow who has been blown away, well, he is the main culprit for your current feeling. Every single one of you can feel that familiar darkness well up from within, and your vision becomes almost creepily focused on the only living person left. Poor man whose ribs have been either broken or fractured, coughing, pleading, crying, babbling incoherently on the ground. He's coughed up a bit of blood.
Do I know this guy?
You do not know this particular man. Thomas, your beast talks to you in a familiar voice, although you have yet to place it. Thomas, aren't you hungry?
You know why.
You cannot operate at peak efficiency Thomas, if you let yourself starve like this. It is very unbecoming. Expect better. Train him. Small. It would satisfy him. And you would grow more.
For less than an afternoon.
Cannot fight me forever.
I can try.
We shall see. Thea, you hear something as well. Oh, girl. Come on. Look at this guy. He's gonna die anyway. How many ribs do you think are broken? 2? 3? A little nibble never hurt nobody, right? Builds character. That's what Papa used to say. Come on, give him a bite. No big deal. Just a little one.
Not saying anything.
The voice perks up again. Thea, baby. Even though you're not saying anything, I know what you're thinking. Come on, just give him a nibble, a little lick, a snack. The 1-2 slipperoo and you're out. Come on.
Fight him.
You say nothing?
I say nothing.
Oh. You remain silent, and although your beast does not continue to talk, you can tell he is very disappointed.
Welcome to the rice fields, motherfucker.
That being said, once all of you in this brief second manage to rid yourselves of this intrusive monologue, you may choose you. All right. Roleplay, folks. We are out of combat. The homeless man kind of just sits on the sidewalk, gripping his ribs, his hands shaking. He spits a glob, a mixture of blood and disgust. Snot, probably. You can also tell that, there's a bit of blood on his face, too. Maybe they got a couple shots in on his face when he was looking. He's got a nasty wound on his lower lip, and his nose seems slightly crooked. He brings both of his hands up to his head, trying to shield it from harm.
No, I don't know, man. I'll pay you back later. I'll pay you back later. Just stop. I'm sorry. Just stop.
Pop down and let me have a look at you.
He is on the ground. He is as plopped down as it gets. If he is
Pipe
any more
down,
plopped
not
down,
plop
he
down.
will be dead. Oh, pipe down. Gotcha. Yeah. He continues to kind of ramble and babble incoherently. Obviously in some amount of shock.
No. I'll pay. Just don't take me over there. I'll do whatever. I just need a little bit of it. You could see his right hand start to like fiddle around in his ragged, ripped up jacket as he desperately searches pockets.
I'll try to rouse him from his, apparent stupor by, patting him on the shoulder, hey, come on now. I need to have a look at you.
The man, in spite of his injuries, he acts with a sudden quickness and anger.
Get off me! Get off me! Stop harassing me, fucking goof!
Mate, you're only just barely better than that guy, and you ain't gonna be for much longer if that rib is broken.
No, just leave. Stop fucking harassing me, man.
The man, in spite of his pain, seems to be acting out either in some sort of drug-based stupor or just in sheer shock. It's difficult to tell. Spoon, give me a wits and a medicine check. Ladies, you guys may interact as you see fit. There's no turn order here. You guys can roleplay freely.
Is my daunt still up?
At the moment, it is. Do you turn it off? The man is not currently looking at you, although if he ever does, change things.
I do not turn it off.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it just a second to see if V has anything she wants to do.
Remind me again, if I use compel, can I make somebody forget something?
You are thinking of cloud memory.
That's right. Okay.
You can get him to fulfill a short sentence. Bear in mind that anything that requires a higher level of cognition will fail because they basically become mindless for that brief moment they're under control. So it's simple things that they can do.
So it doesn't have to be one-worded, just has to be...
Short sentence.
Okay.
Go stand here. Stop.
Are his
Sit
eyes
down.
open?
His eyes are closed, and he's got one hand sort of on his bloodied forehead, and he's desperately patting around for something in his ragged jacket.
Gotcha, okay. Take this for your sister.
He can hear you, but he can't see you. Not because he's actively trying not to see you, but because he's just experiencing several layers of shock.
Gotcha. Okay.
Spoon. 1 second before we continue. 3 successes. 3 successes. Okay. He's making it very difficult for you to get any kind of examination going. However, you are experienced enough in this to know that this man would likely be unconscious, or at the very least struggling to do much of anything with some of the blows he had taken. If you had to guess, he might actually be on some sort of pain-numbing substance. It keeps him kind of lucid, for lack of a better term, for the moment. However, once that wears off, you'd imagine that with some broken ribs and some internal injuries, hopefully no bleeding, he might not make it the night.
Right.
That's what I can tell you. Treating this without treating this would require a little bit more than you have access to at the moment. However, if you had some painkillers, or honestly just a hospital bed of some kind and some equipment to work with, you could likely nourish this man back to some reasonable level of health. However, if anything is broken, and based on what you had heard earlier, you suspect something is, he's going to definitely need a lot more care. And that's assuming that something's broken and nothing has been punctured internally.
Yep.
That is what I can tell you.
Well,
who hasn't
certainly don't
acted
have
yet?
access to that.
I haven't. I
Uh,
have some questions.
Vivian, have you not acted yet?
Nope. I was
Okay.
asking questions for my turn.
Sure. What are your? You may take your turn now. What are your questions?
I'm gonna walk up to the guy and kind of kneel down and look over at Tommy and just be like, let me see if I can get him to cooperate. He was just hounded by a bunch of men. And then I'll look over at Tommy, be like, hey, you okay? Look at me.
You're talking to the man?
Yeah.
The man, much like he had interacted with Tommy, doesn't seem soothed by a more feminine voice. In fact, he is equally alarmed still. He seems to babble and just kind of not really so much as threaten as much as try to get you away from. And he seems to repeat the same thing over and over again. Why are you harassing me? Just let me go. Fuck off, you fucking goof.
I'll stand up and back away.
You stand up and take a couple steps back. The man is very uncooperative at the moment, although it could be worth exploring other options should the traditional method.
So I'm gonna ask, do we need something from him?
No.
Good. And I'm going to go right up to him and get right up in his face and make sure he can see me.
Okay, you're basically going to try to shake him from his shocked state and force his eyes to open, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I want to speak to him.
Yeah, so here's how this works. Thomas and Vivian, you see Thea stride up, that questionable look on her face, and by questionable I mean quite frightening. She walks up to the man, grabbing him by the scruff of his shitty, ragged coat and kind of hoisting him up. The man briefly briefly stirred by this sudden shift in his position, opens his eyes and he starts screaming very loud. Bear in mind, Thea, that your fangs are still bared. You look very menacing. Something out of a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
This man pales visibly, and he struggles in your grasp, although given his injuries and the fact that you are quite strong, he doesn't It doesn't take you much effort to hold him still.
Good.
And much like one of the other men, you catch the faintest whiff of something
So,
strong, urine-like.
uh, I want to be right up in his face. I want to have him hit by the shirt, not moving at all, and just dead in his eyes. I think it's time you get your life right. And then I'm gonna ask Tommy, where's the nearest hospital?
As you turn to ask Tommy where the nearest hospital is, and you don't know why, but if a disembodied malevolent voice could have an image, yours would definitely have his feet on a desk very casually, both arms behind his metaphorical head as he speaks. You smell that? Oh, God, wouldn't it just be nice to rip into his fucking throat? It'd be the only useful thing he's ever done in his life, I bet. Consider it a promotion. Come on. Just give him one. Just a quick one.
I crack my neck.
You crack your neck, the voice just tickling at the edge of your ear like an annoying child with their pinky irritating you, constantly trying to get your attention. However, you've heard this before and steel yourself against it as best as you can. Prick. That tiny little prickling sensation just at the edge of your lobe. Well, it is your to say the least. Go ahead, Spoon.
About 3 miles that way.
All right, I want to look back at this guy then and be like, you got 3 miles to go. Think about your sins.
He is no longer screaming, cursing, or being difficult. He has fallen completely limp in your grasp and just stares into your eyes, his own widened, bloodshot. He's like for all intents and purposes, if he's not going to be a corpse soon, he's definitely practicing for it.
I let him go.
Yeah, you kind of release the man onto the ground, and he lands with a small, uncomfortable thud. With whatever strength remaining, thanks to the power of drugs, he just skitters back onto a nearby lawn, turning over and attempting to crawl away at speed, although it becomes more difficult within seconds as his injuries start to catch up. Who the fuck are you people?
I fucking live here.
And then, for a second... Wait. Hey, Tommy! Is that you?
Hi, it's me, Tommy.
It's me, Donald. Oh, those fucks! They were trying to take me away, Tommy.
Take you where?
I can... He hacks up a bit more blood. His breathing is becoming labored. He wheezes between each sentence, desperately kind of turning himself over, his eyes facing the darkened sky. In the distance, you can hear fairly far out, but sirens are definitely heard in the distance. Hey, Tommy. These fucks. They're taking us, man. If you can... Fuck, my ribs. I just need a little bit more. Oh, fuck. Get that bitch away from me. As he looks in Thea's direction, terror subsumes his being. There's something within you, Thea, that gets a sick amount of pleasure from this man cowering in fear of you. There is no voice, but something definitely bubbles melodically in your soul. Vivian, you see this pathetic man scrambling for his life, caught between drug-laced delusions, horrible pain, and an apparent remembrance of Thomas. How do you feel right now?
Like I want him to go away before I eat him.
You wish, sorry?
I said, like, I want him to go away before I change my mind and eat him.
Hunger checks for everybody. What are we looking like? Or sorry, not hunger checks. What is your current hunger score?
2.
3.
1.
Thea 1, Spoon. What is Tommy's?
2.
2. Okay, you're okay. And dear sweet Vivian, what are we at, girl?
3.
He does look so delicious. Absolutely easy, defenseless. Get rid of that really uncomfortable feeling in your stomach. Plus, it would be an extra step towards silencing that voice.
You know what? I'm gonna, like, hurriedly, not, like, run full fucking speed at the man and scare the shit out of him, but, like...
He doesn't
When-
look like he's going anywhere.
Right. But I mean, like, when he's hunched over, I'm gonna make it look like I'm running up to, like, catch him and see if he's okay, kind of thing. You know,
That's-
don't make it seem obvious that I'm malicious.
All right, you creep. Do you have any performance?
Let me see. I don't.
Well, luckily for you, even if you were the worst actor on the face of the planet, this man couldn't go anywhere if he wanted to. But he struggles to crawl a meter or two with effort.
I'll still, like, catch him a little bit and try and help stand him
Right.
back up.
Yeah.
Can I get him to look me in the eye?
He's looking kind of up at the darkened sky, sort of talking to Tommy out loud. He's not looking at anybody, but yeah, if you just kind of hovered over and looked at him, eyes are.
Oh, is he, like, so hunched over that he's shorter than me?
So to give you an idea, he's got his have you ever kind of rolled over on the lawn before and just kind of had your back kind of just had your back on the lawn and just looked up at the night sky?
Oh, he's not standing, he's on the ground?
Yeah, he's in a bad way. He's currently looking up at the night sky, just kind of talking up to Tommy. By the way, there's no initiative order, guys. If you guys wish to interfere, get involved, feel free. Just let me know while this is happening.
Oh. Well, then in that case, I'll lean over him.
You do. You lean over the man who doesn't recognize you, who immediately kind of becomes suspicious, as if he expects somebody else. What do you want?
Is he looking me in the eye now?
Yes, he is. He's
Okay.
looking directly in your beautiful, beautiful eyes.
Can I use compel and say don't scream?
Of course you can. Let's see.
I want to
I'll drop
whisper it.
on.
I want to whisper it very sweetly too.
You gorgeous power tripping piece of shit. God bless you. It's
And
free.
I will drop Daunt.
All right,
if-
let's see. You drop Daunt? Okay,
Yeah.
well, now if he looks in your direction, you don't run the risk of having to compete with Vivian. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to double check so that you don't get... okay, so don't scream is the command you give, right? Well,
Yep.
He's immortal. He's fucked. He's not really prepared, so I rule this as an automatic success. What do? You look into his eyes, and you call upon the power of your blood. You make eye contact, and you say, sweetly, scream. And he, almost as if possessed by a will that is not his own, buttons up for what comes next. What do you do next, you filthy girl?
I'm going to very gingerly, slowly go in his neck.
Oh boy. All right, you go in for a drinky poo. How many do you take? How much of your hunger do you wish to satiate? If
Like
you kill him, you'll get rid of all of it.
I just want to go back down to 1.
You want to take 2? Normally this
Ooh.
would be very safe, but given his condition, he could take damage. Aggravated damage. And he could be closer to death.
I'll take 1 then. I'll let it go back down to 2.
You lean in, his eyes widen. He attempts some sort of feeble resistance, but given his state and your vampiric strength, you manage to hold him down and sink your fangs into his neck. And as you do so, you can hear that voice whispering in your ear and feel an almost strange purring sensation right in the center of your chest. If your heart still functioned, it would likely be fluttering as if you had experienced some sort of sweet romance or momentary lustful thought. Oh, see, Vivian, it's so easy. Lap it all up.
Bruh.
Keep going. Give me a willpower check. Unspent willpower, Miss Park. Do you stop? Do you get carried away? 1 success. Okay, well, you're boring and you succeed. All right. You take just enough to get the edge off. You can reduce your hunger by 1. You will go down to 2. It's not particularly pleasant. It's got a strange taste to it. It's very like hard to describe. It's almost like he's got something else in his system that's enhancing what would otherwise be fairly unremarkable and borderline unpleasant. Yeah, he's got some sort of drug in his system. However, its influence is not so pronounced. It seemed as though when these men had jumped him, he was on the verge of coming down from his high. However, this alone makes it taste quite exquisite. As you pull back from his neck, the vampiric kiss having put him in a brief state of ecstasy, you can feel the hot, crimson liquid drip down your chin, coating your pointed fangs as they retract back in your mouth, and a low hiss escape your lips. Thomas and Thea, you both see her feed on this poor, injured man. However,
Yep.
it does not appear as though she has done anything too horrible. Well, as far as vampires are concerned. The man has fallen silent once again and is in a bit of a almost relaxed state, as it is. He says nothing. It's almost as though he is caught in some sort of euphoria. The vampiric kiss, of course, being equivalent to astonishing, cripplingly good sex. It doesn't bear the same level of intimacy per se, but definitely creates a similar artificial attachment, at least temporarily, along with the pleasure that comes along with it. Think of it as a drug. It was good. It was real good. In fact, if he had not been so injured, you might have just finished him. Maybe you should have. Nobody will miss somebody like this anyway, right?
Go, Ricky.
Continue the scene. We can advance it when you guys wish, but role play freely.
I'm gonna turn to Tommy.
Happening.
While she is feeding, you two are presumably discussing something.
I'm gonna ask Tommy. You know him? Because he seems to know you.
I live around here.
Right. I live lots of places. People don't always call me by my name.
If you like some background details, Spoon,
Sure.
you saved this man's life, Donald, as he called himself, using a Narcan kit. You basically saved him from heroin overdose. You are unfortunately out of Narcan, and well, he is a hard addict. He lives his life on the streets here. Since you have had your haven here, you've known him. In fact, when you were still a paramedic, he would occasionally see you, and, if at all possible, assist you where he could. Although, you only really know him because occasionally, whenever tasked by Rosalind, if you can find use from the local populace, you do. And Donald is, on the odd occasion, he's useful, although typically he's far too drugged out of his mind to provide any. You saved his life, in short, and that's where he knows you from. And while grateful, the man obviously can't offer.
All right.
That is what I can tell.
My character looks at yours. Saved his life way back when. Every now and again, I go back and make sure he's alright. Pump him for info. Think tends to get you on a first name basis.
Wow. Seems like I got linked up with my own little hero.
If that's what you want to call it.
Well, you sure ran into that fight quick.
I wasn't kidding when I said I didn't want blood on my lawn. Incidentally, are we going to clear the body away from my house before the cops show up?
The incessant sound of animals barking and the sound of sirens, although still some distance away, encroaches on the south side. The once silent Chicago air has been cruelly shifted into something darker, filled with malice. Perhaps, at one point, this night would have been for the peace being silent, free of any conflict.
You're cutting out, Brian.
Sorry, let me repeat. The silent Chicago air has had the delusion of peace cruelly wiped from this place. A record would have been had the South Side gone at least one day without an incident. Of course, living here, you and Vivian know, or at least close to the area, that where gangs such as Los Reyes make their homes, violence such as this is all too common and expected. It is not only a trial for the members that wish to take up arms in such groups, but it is also a detriment to those unfortunate souls stranded on this particular pillar of life, one from which they start and die at the bottom. Having recovered at least somewhat from his, well, delusional state, the man known as Donald slowly rolls over. However, he has no words. He merely attempts to, with his free forearm, crawl his way into a dark corner, somewhere, anywhere but here. He struggles visibly, occasionally coughing up blood, wheezing. It's unlikely he will survive the night. What do you guys wish to do?
My question
Mike,
remains unchanged.
What is your question, Spoon?
I was basically asking the other members of the group, like, by the way, are we going to get this body away from my house before the cops show up?
Yeah, you also have the gang member who has been, very brutally shot by Vivian. He's got 2 holes in his chest, 1 in his left shoulder, and, for good measure, she scattered his brains along the sidewalk. His blood, now leaking over the edges and into the grate nearby, has kind of a unpleasant air about it. Not rancid or anything of the sort, but not appetizing either. Some of it has started to congeal on his clothing.
I'll help him move the body wherever he wants.
Okay. Yeah, it's up to you guys. Whatever you wish to do, let me know. But if you're still speaking, go for it. Vivian, I'm assuming, is going to walk up to Tommy and offer assistance?
Yes. Yeah, I'll walk up to him. Well, I'll help you. Where do you want it?
Someone not here.
No shit.
I'm content to leave it alone so I don't start helping until they already are moving something actively.
Okay. Spoon, do you have a Streetwise?
I do not. That's why I'm trying to sit here. There's like, where would a guy with no streetwise hide a body?
Everybody
would-
who has Streetwise, make a check.
With what? With
Roll your intelligence and your Streetwise. The sirens are far enough away that you have time to formulate some sort of rational plan. How many successes we have? One each? One apiece? Two. Two for Vivian and one for Thea. Okay. Thea, even though you're not really familiar with this area, and Vivian, you are very familiar with this area, but you guys both know that in areas such as this, murders happen, police show up, they do their thing, and typically the murder goes unsolved. There is very little that would likely come of this. People like this man rarely receive the justice they are due, and while there is a chance that this could escalate further, it is a single man in a place renowned for murders and now kidnappings. And in all honesty, unless he somehow survives the night, it is very likely that he couldn't implicate any of you, nor the men that had ran away. Honestly, both of you know it's probably best to just leave him. Unless you can actively fix him.
I'm sorry, actively fix?
Fix him, help him, heal him, but Thomas would be in the best is the best suited to do that if he had the tools, or maybe an appropriate location in his haven.
Are we talking about the guy whose brains I blasted?
Well, for the homeless fellow, that is the case. For this body, yeah, you could just leave that. There will be 2 dead bodies in this area, which would be alarming if it weren't for the fact that it's this area. Now, given that there is 2, that is still more concerning than it is not. One man is dead and tells no tales. The other isn't dead, but probably soon will be.
Oh, well, in that case, I'm just gonna look over at Tommy and be like, you should just fucking leave him. And then I'll go over to the guy who I just, gave the best night of his life to and help him up and drag him back into Tommy's house.
Yeah, you definitely gave him, as the kids would say, that good suck. He was cooperative at the time, but as soon as you try to move him, touch him, or interact with him without using some sort of supernatural compulsion, he won't scream, but he'll be kind of shouting at you, basically. Get off! Get off me! Get off me!
Oh, well then, in that case...
At this point, this is just sounding like a call 911 and hope for the best.
Oh, Vivian.
I'll...
Your beast bubbles up again. Kill him. Kill him. Do it.
Fuck no.
But he could be useful. And I'll say it out loud.
Oh, sweet Vivian. What use is such a... Honestly, do you think being useful got him where he is? Really? My sweet child. Please exercise some sort of rational. For once.
You don't think a ghoul would be better?
I would definitely recommend choosing something else. Kill him.
I want to be looking up into the sky, like looking basically at nothing when I'm saying all of these things back out loud.
You have chosen to say all this out loud, so anybody within earshot will hear you. She seems to be speaking to herself out loud to someone or something. There doesn't appear to be anybody here.
And
She's done this once before, but not as long and drawn out as this.
My character looks at Thea, motions with his hands to like kind of point at her, like, and he starts mouthing like, "What the fuck? Drugs?"
I want to be standing behind dude too. Sorry, go ahead, Spoon.
Yeah, I'm basically like pantomiming, like pointing at your character and looking at Thea's list, like what the fuck?
While you're kind of subsumed with your beast, Vivian, you have your back turned to Thea and Tommy, so you're not looking at them. Go ahead, Tommy. Tommy basically looked at Thea and said, "Fuck is up with her?"
Oh, honey, don't you know it's always the pretty ones that are a little bit crazy?
Wouldn't that account for you?
I said what I said. But you flatter me.
Thea, your beast purrs in your chest. He is right. You are delicious, Thea. That's why you're here.
My
don't miss-
smile instantly changes.
The audible sound of almost sensual lip smacking fills your ear before silence resumes itself in your being.
I'm just gonna kind of grab Vivian's arm and be like, leave him. Let's get inside.
Yeah.
And I'm not smiling anymore.
Yeah, the smile evaporates from your features as quickly as it had appeared. You walk up to Vivian and attempt to pull her along with you away from this man. Vivian, do you allow this to happen? It'll likely catch you off guard, but if you do, she's going to try and basically, gently pull you away from this man who is currently being judged by both you and your inner monologue.
Does the inner monologue say anything when she does that?
Girl, it has fallen quiet, unfortunately.
I let her do it.
Yeah, she gently puts her arm under your, her hand under your armpit and kind of hoists you up and begins to take you back toward Thomas's home. Thomas, you see this happening. Do you wish to do anything?
I'll look at this happenstance. Then back at Douglas, who's just like curled up on the side of the street, basically, looks like.
Yeah, Donald is it's kind of made it to the steps leading onto the small porch of one of the derelict homes. He's leaned up against it. Well, you've seen this many times before. This is a man resigned to death.
Not everybody can be saved. Oh well. My character will look at him and is like, Douglas, if you make it through the night, you know where I live. I'll start trundling off.
You can hear meekly, okay, Tommy. And that, unfortunately, is where we have to end, because I have to do the computer stuff. It was a little bit shorter than I would have liked. I wanted to get a lot more done, but I didn't see you guys taking that much of an interest in this poor homeless bastard.
You remember when I told you my character was blunt and abrasive? I fucking meant it.
No, you're all sick and horribly fucked up. But that's the point. That was kind of the first game. I'd usually like to go for way longer, but fortunately I got some computer stuff to do. Questions, comments, anything you guys would like to see more or less of? Was combat about the length that was enjoyable?
I fucking loved this. I actually said it, and I forgot that I pushed to talk on, and so I said it to nobody. But this was great.
Okay. I'm hoping to do better in the future. I'm still getting my bearings with the mechanics and the system. I got to learn your characters and what's happening with them. This was a very small, basic encounter. What did you think, Sin? Was this more to your style?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I don't know that I necessarily have a style. I mean, I'm very new at all of this. But I enjoyed myself. I think if I had any question at all, it would be if there's a place where I can find a breakdown of the hunger scores. I know I only have one hunger, but I kind of wanted to know how they rank that.
Sure. So for hunger references, for those that are interested, that will be on page 205 forward. You'll get a better idea of 205. 207. Bear in mind, as a storyteller, I take slight creative liberties with certain voices and certain things that may be happening as a result of your hunger, but bear in mind that the higher it is, stands to reason, the more severe it's getting, right?
Right.
For each of you, your beast sounds and acts differently. However, all of those personalities kind of converge into similar things it wants all of you to do. They sound different for reasons linked to your past, but they all drive you to do the same. Kill, drink, drink. So no matter how different each one may sound, no matter how it approaches you, no matter how flowery and verbose it may be, in the case of Vivian or perhaps Thomas, or as abrasive, blunt, or otherwise cocky as it may be with regard to Thea's, it will always drive you to do things terrible. Unless I have you make a willpower check, you're not being compelled, forced, or it's not attempting to exert control. However, it will attempt to influence you in character and whether or not you choose to act on that. That being said, I really wish this game had gone longer because there was a lot more planned, but that's okay because we can keep going. There's no rush to do anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any recommendations for things I could do better, or longer combat, shorter combat, more roleplay, less roleplay, more descriptions of things, if you guys want anything, let me know and I'll try my best to kind of tailor the experience more toward that if I can. Granted, the session was a little bit short, so there was very little time to do too much, but hope you guys enjoyed what is here. It's a taste of things to come. This is just kind of dipping your baby toe in, getting a feel for your powers, who you are, your coterie, the group you will hopefully evolve into, and we'll give you kind of an idea of the sort of world you're stepping into, and especially the area you're currently starting in, which is generally pretty shit. So I've got to leave here soon, but I will give you each a chance to kind of say something. We'll start with you, Sin. Is there anything you wish to tell me? Any feedback you want to give me, or are you just generally happier than a clam?
I am just finer than a frog hair.
Spoon a lot?
I enjoyed the more personification of the beast. We all seem to have like our little personas going on there.
Yes, your beasts all have its metaphorical thumb in your little butthole. It's really trying to get you to do fucked up shit. Star?
I am tickled pink with how this is going so far.
Ooh, pink. Okay. Are you guys doing anything tomorrow?
Eating food.
On Thanksgiving?
Oh, never mind. Well, I've got to go.
He's Canadian.
If you guys leave any
I know.
messages in this chat, I will read it. Spoon, I'll be on later. Anything you guys want to ask, say, whatever. I want to continue this game. I had fun. Is this the kind of game that you guys could see yourselves playing long term?
At the moment, sir, with how well it was, I'd play it every day if I could. But Pokemon.
Okay, we have a crackhead. I approve. Sin, is this something you would like to continue?
Agreed. No, I totally agree. I think this was a lot of fun tonight. This is the most fun I've had doing an RP game in
Oh, baby girl,
many
you flatter
many
me.
months.
In 3 months, to be
stop
exact, she says.
Stop it. Okay, I will try to organize games sooner rather than later, as often as I can. That being said, though, I gotta go. I will see you guys around. This chat will be active as long as you guys are playing in the game. So any questions, any whatever, send it here. I will meet you guys later.
We
Okay,
did
bye.
it, guys.
you.
We didn't have to fight zombies until we fuck with a Samitsi for some reason. And then we'll fight
Yeah.
nothing but zombies.
Yay!
Woo!
We finished an encounter. Holy shit!
Oh my gosh.
In less than
No, what's-
half an hour.
You
I
know
know.
what? I'm more excited about the fact that not just that we were able to finish an encounter, but that we did not have to stop to say, man, we need to do a long rest.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's because you just fucking came in there big balling with your power. It just made them shit themselves and run. It certainly didn't hurt that Star just kind of whirled around and blew some guy's brains out.
Look, all right. She said, "What is a little old thing like you gonna do? Blow a bitch's brains out?" Apparently.
Yeah, apparently. I love how I asked, like, show me what weapons you have. And you point to your gloves. And Pretty Little Miss Thing doesn't do anything.
I'm gonna
And
level
then
with
all
you.
of a sudden, I'ma blow their brains out. Look
I'm
at
gonna
my
level with
gun.
you. My character owns a gun. He has no firearms.
He has no what?
I have no firearms, Dots.
None?
That my role was composure and like awareness was a mercy.
Oh my gosh.
I shoot
Oh.
at people so that they stop fucking with me, or so that I can close to use my 1 point of brawl.
That is amazing.
My character is an EMT. My primary stats are like strength to get fat asses into an EMT van.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Again,
Especially considering the fact that you're like, I got these spiky gloves.
my character has 1 point in brawl, and those gloves do like an initial point of damage. That's all that fucking matters.
That is amazing. What about you, Star? Are you do you have any fighting skills?
I have 3 in firearms
Damn.
Okay.
and 3 in
Damn.
stealth.
In 3 in stealth?
Yeah.
But do you have any like brawl or melee or
I have 2 in melee.
Damn.
Okay.
A
We're
bitch
gonna
had to
get-
be prepared for the umbrella Ella.
We're gonna have to get you a broadsword.
So I've got 3 in brawl and 3 in melee and 2 in firearm.
Undeath is a hell of a drug.
But I don't have a whole lot of smarts.
Thankfully, that's where my character seems to come in.
Good.
I feel like that's where all of your characters come in, is the smart one out
I
of
know, right?
everybody.
That's because he knows everything in real life too.
Yeah.
Look at
I
me.
mean,
and
I've got
look at me and tell me that Harris or Rotrin were in any way intelligent.
I mean, he at least Roger would wife you.
Yeah.
God bless you.
He got to use his resources. That's what it was.
First,
Richard was smart.
His
than
hammer,
another.
his pants, and his beard.
hey, women like beards.
That is true. That is
Damn.
true. That's a thing right now. Very in.
I mean, my character's not an idiot, but I've only got 1 in intelligence, but I've got 3 in wits.
It's a good stat
Intelligence
to
is your
have.
one. What's
Yeah.
your What's your one? Spoon.
What is my one? I think it was dexterity. Yeah, Spoon, roll me a dexterity
Mine-
firearms check. 1 die.
Mine is composure.
What's your 4?
Charisma.
What's your 4, Spoon?
Intelligence.
Mine is dexterity.
Okay.
We got a nice
Well,
group
that's
going on
pretty
here.
cool, though. These are like, it seems like a really well balanced party.
Yeah. And something I forgot to mention during the game, but basically when my character walks, like she's always on her tiptoes. Like not tippy toes, like she's a ballet dancer, but like where if you were to like try and reach for something on the top shelf kind of deal to the people who are short in this chat, those tippy toes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Actually think it's comfortable to walk like that.